Samuel Leeds here, and in this video I'm joined by Chris Harrington and Russell Leeds, and we are going to be discussing the new HMO changes and legislations. So there is a lot of changes going on. I mean, Chris, tell us what you do and just summarise what the changes are.
We're contractors. We change refurb properties from single lets into HMOs, and main changes are that you've got a house that never needed to be licensed. You'd have 5-bed house over 2 stories, didn't need to be licensed.
Yeah.
It was only three stories. Now every 5-bed house needs to be licensed.
5-bed HMO.
Yeah, 5-bed HMO. But the thing is, people think, I've only got a 4-bed HMO, doesn't need licensing. It's a number of occupants. We just say that they're 5-bed or they're 4-bed because that's a number of rooms, but it's number of occupants.
Yeah, so if you've got a couple in there and then 3 other people, you'll need a licence still. Even if that couple is even if it's a 4-bed, but that couple is on a single AST.
Yeah, it's a number of occupants per property.
So a lot of properties that are HMOs currently that are unlicensed will need licensing.
It's going to be a nightmare.
And also, not only will they need licensing, but potentially, if they're not being run well, safe, they're going to need fire doors, smoke alarms in order to get licensed. So It's a real big deal. I mean, you know what I think, Chris. I'm actually a bit of an opportunist and an optimist. I'm quite excited about the changes, which I'll explain. You are as well. We've not really spoke about this too much before. What, you're not so happy?
Yeah, I'm not really upset about it, but I don't think it's a good thing because not so much the licensing, but the extra rules, the extra like we were talking earlier, weren't we, about the soundproofing situation now, which is going to cost more money. I just think it's a way. I think the government are just hitting landlords left, right, and centre at the moment, and I think this is just another thing. It's just making it harder to run a HMO, it's making it more expensive to run a HMO.
But do you not think though that where there's a rule change or a tightening up or something, and it's like, oh my goodness, we've seen it happen again and again with Article 4, there's usually a plus side, and actually ultimately, when you know what you're doing, you can make more money from that.
I think there usually is, but I can't really see a plus side in this. To be fair,
You're just really upset.
There is a plus side.
I'm not really upset, but
How are you feeling? What are you feeling then?
I just think that they are trying to sort of, if they can, get rid of the HMO market. They're just trying.
The HMO market can't go, can it? Because it's a great product. People need to rent
It can't
rooms.
go, but what they can do is at the moment it's very, very profitable, and what they can do is they can slowly make it less and less profitable.
Chris, why do you love it? Go on, what are you thinking?
They're not trying to get more money out of landlords. They're trying to get rid of the bad landlords.
Yeah, well that's good, obviously.
So I'm keen on it because I think, whereas before we would have to refurb a house and you'd get nailed down to just doing the barest minimum, now we can actually provide a really nice home. Not only does the investor make more money because he's got a far higher class property, but the tenants, they're going to be a lot safer. And it's not just us, and it's not, before you had the local area, we want this, we want that. You had a 2004 Housing Act, that made you basic guidelines, then you had your local authority who added, and they could come in, and nobody was sure what they're meant to do. Now you've got this national legislation, everybody across the country, all the contractors, all landlords have got to stick to that. I think that is a good thing because you can't have some little authority.
I agree with that. I think that's a
What
good
do
thing.
you think? I guess it depends on what side of the coin you look at this. How are the changes going to affect people? So, I mean, you're looking at this probably from your point of view or from the investors. I'm not sure. I mean, let's just start. How's it going to affect investors?
Yeah, well, investors, it's going to affect them because it basically just means that it's going to cost more money to get a HMO.
At the moment, Chris, typically with my HMOs that we pass to you, assuming that the house is in really good condition, it normally costs about $3 to $5 grand for you to put the fire door, smoke alarms, get it decent.
That's it.
You've told me that's going to go up a little bit now.
Not a little bit. It's not a little bit, is it?
Why is it going up so much?
Well, let's hear it from the man himself.
The actual work. So you're saying like
So
we
what
used
do we
to
need
say
to do
3
now?
to 5,000.
You used to tell me, we just bought a house, we're going to need to put fire doors, smoke alarms, you know, and make it, maybe put some fire escape windows if the room's on. And typically it used to cost about 3, 4, 5 grand to do all the compliance, safety, HMO stuff. And that's what I spend. What's different now?
Okay, now the actual building work is not going to be much more for what you've asked for, fire door, smoke alarms, but they insist on soundproofing all the rooms, and so you have to put in suspended ceilings because you will not get a licence unless the property is soundproof between rooms, so one below, one above, and also next to each other.
Yep.
So that increases your costs. You're looking for a suspended ceiling, you're looking complete plastering and everything, you're looking around £60 a square metre.
Yeah. Including the plastering of it afterwards.
Yeah, including the plastering. But, so your work, that will increase. But the main point is where your costs of conversion increase, you have to pay building control. You also have to pay for sound testing. You have to have a fire risk assessment. There is no way...
We do that at the moment though, don't we, with my properties?
We do. We always recommend, and for our properties we always insist on it. But this is across the board now. These are for the landlords who didn't have it.
See, I think that they've gone a bit too far. I think fire risk assessment, that should be in the legislation.
Yeah, when things like Grenville happening, you just think, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Obviously, you want it to be totally safe.
Yeah.
But making it the sound. So now we're talking, rather than sort of 4 grand, we're talking 8 grand.
No, not quite 8 grand.
With your fees on top, now that you've got your licence, your building control. You've got it. That's why I'm saying it's not so much the building, it's all the people who have got their finger in the pie now.
Yeah, the HMO risk officer, the licensing coming out. So do you think now, Chris, if I said, okay, I've just bought a property now, forget the ones previously, how much is it going to cost to just get it compliant, it's in good condition? How much do you think roughly, ballpark, we'd be talking?
I would be saying a minimum of 8.
Really? That is a bit of a pain.
Yeah.
There is a good side to this. I mean, I know...
Well, I'm looking at it. Tell you where I'm looking at it from, because obviously we've
just ticks you off that they're having to get soundproof. It's like, why?
Yeah, but I'm looking at it from a sourcing point of view.
Yeah.
And when you package in a deal and you're looking at it and it's like...
The figures now are less. So basically what... Yeah.
It's making it hard now. We've got to put, like... Speaking to Chris, it's like, no, that one's 9 grand. It's like, that's going to make it tricky.
It's less. It's harder to get into now. Before it was a case that you just buy a house, rent it out room by room, no biggie. Now you've got to be compliant. You've got to do all these things.
Now,
so it's harder entry point.
Principle, I agree with compliance, the fire safety, but I think they've gone a bit too far. I think they've made it a bit too expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I know what you mean. It is annoying. What? Yeah, go on.
The thing that gets me is the people who've got their fingers in the pie, building control and all that, you ring them up for advice. Now we've been on one property and we've rung building control, we've come up with this scheme, that scheme, the other scheme for soundproofing, and they say, just do what it says in the book.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, no, I'm asking you for advice, I need cheaper alternatives that are going to... And one of the things that has come about under the soundproofing and the sound test afterwards is everybody thinks, I'm just going to put down deeper underlay and a thicker carpet in the room above. The sound test has to be done without any carpet. Yet carpet and underlay are soundproofing techniques.
Yeah.
But you cannot do that.
So Chris, why do you think why you said that you thought it was brilliant, the new changes? Why are you so pleased when it's such a pain for people like Russell
and investors?
Because the thing is, you're thinking from a sourcing point of view, from a
letting agent point of view.
All these investors that were buying HMOs that were passing you work, now they're going to go, I don't think I can afford a HMO, and you're going to get less work from the letting agent. And from the sourcing point of view, it's just a pain.
So, and from investing myself.
Well, I'm not sure about that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what are you thinking, Chris? Why are you happy about it when it seems to be such a pain?
all the programmes you see on telly, rogue landlords, all that sort of thing, this just stamps them straight out the market.
But
you haven't
surely
got a
surely that was the case anyway. Surely
No.
if they
There's a lot of rogue landlords.
There is. But why do they have? I understand having to register HMOs and having to license HMOs. I think that makes sense. But why change the rules as well? Why not just keep it as it was, but make everyone be licensed?
Because
That would do the same thing.
how many HMOs do we look at that aren't up to scratch?
Yeah, but just because they're not licensed.
No, even,
Well, then if they are licensed, how does this help? It doesn't.
even the licence, I've visited some licence properties, and I'm thinking, well, how did they ever get a licence?
That is true. They are very easy to license properties. I mean, Wolverhampton are really... I go into some properties and I can't believe they've got a licence.
Well, is that because the rules are wrong, or the people aren't following the rules?
People aren't
No,
following.
I don't know.
Because people aren't following the rules.
I mean, the good thing, the good thing about the change is why I'm overall happy is because we already, even for the unlicensed properties, and this doesn't affect 4-bed properties, does it? Unless they've got more. So this is only for 5-bed. Before, you needed to get a licence if there was 5 people over 3 stories or more. Now what they're saying is 5, full stop.
Yeah.
And if it's 4, this actually doesn't apply. Although it might one day.
It probably will.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is, even on 4-bed, because we know the way rules are changing.
Yeah.
It used to be 3-storey, now it's 5-bed 2. We know it's going to be 4-bed, whether it comes in next year. So,
See, I feel like we've prepared for this, really.
We're prepared for this. You see, from it...
But not the soundproofing, we're not.
No, the soundproofing is the only thing. But
That's my main gripe.
But here's the thing, from an investor's point of view now, you're upset from a sourcing point of view because you're thinking less people are going to get into HMOs now. There's a higher entry point.
Yeah.
But from an investor's point of view, like me, and you're an investor, I'm an investor, from an investor's point of view, is it not actually good? Because we're already running our properties to a good high standard. Alright, it's going to cost us an extra couple of grand to get it soundproofed, but there's going to be so much less competition. Mm-hmm. There's going to be so many HMO properties that are rogue, that are taking up space on spare room, who are going to turn their properties back to single lets. The sourcing business might suffer, but that's a small issue compared to our own.
I do think, from an investor's point of view, getting rid of rogue landlords is good.
Yeah.
So you've got to look at it as a big positive.
And from the tenant's point of view, we can't just look at it from an investor's point of view. From a letting agent's point of view, or from a sourcing. We need to look at this from an investor's point of view, which is where we do make most of our money, and secondly, from the country's point of view, safety, tenant, standard.
Yeah, you don't particularly.
It's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Also, I think the way it's going to go is, rather than buying very, very cheap 4-bedroomed houses in very, very cheap areas, renting them out for say £1,300 a month, doing them on the cheap and making your money that way, what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot less supply of HMOs, and I think rents are going to go up. The HMOs are going to be better standard. So what I'm seeing, certainly with my students, is that they're now moving away from very, very cheap 4-bed houses up north a little bit, and they're great, they work, I've got them, they're fine, and they're moving towards higher end 5-6-bed HMOs, spending a bit more money, but then rather than making £350 a month per room, per tenant, they're making £450, £500 a month.
Well, we've got some that we're managing in Birmingham. They're about a mile from the city centre. Kitchenette and ensuite, most of them are. Yeah.
£650 a month per room.
And they've gone.
That's brilliant. So I think that's the way that investors are kind of moving now. That they're moving towards slightly higher end, spending a little bit more money down. Because the thing is, the only figures that matter is what you put in and what you get out. What you're going to put in is going to be a bit more. But that's always going to be the case, because properties are going up and things. So you're going to put in is going to be a little bit more, but I think what you're going to get out is going to be more as well.
Yeah.
And also, if the investor's putting in more money, getting a higher quality finish and a better product, he's going to get a better tenant, and the better tenant will pay the better rent
and stay longer. And
exactly.
Yeah. Do you think it would be an idea? Because I've personally got a couple of...
I can ask you a question from a tenant's point of view. Let's say that happens, and they all go higher end, and the prices will therefore all go up. What about the people that literally can only afford the
350, 400.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to actually.
Because is there a product?
Four-bed?
Is there a product there? For,
I think so.
For the cheap ones.
I was about to say that. I've got a couple of properties going through, and so have lots of our students and investors that have sourced, we've sourced properties for, where they might be in Grimsby, Bradford, Hull, 4-bed, 4 tenants, no licence needed, no planning permission, no building regs, nothing like that. And their plan was just put, furniture in, make it look nice, wear them out for 350. I think that's still okay. I think you can still do that all day long, as long as
stick it to 4 beds.
stick it to 4 beds.
And how long before they bring the rules in for 4 beds?
They will, when they find that there's a demise of a 5 and 6 bed, the councils aren't making the money out of those, they'll find something else to pick on. That'll be the 4 beds.
Well,
but it's going to take a while.
I think it will take a while. I think it could be years.
Yeah. I mean, how long has it taken for... They've been...
Normally they talk about things forever.
Yeah. This has
They're
been
always
under
behind. I mean, look
consultation.
at service accommodation, there's pretty much nothing.
Yeah. I think it could be 5 years. Another thing you could do is if you were buying a 5-bed and you were going to have to spend £8,000 just on the compliance and this and that, potentially is you could make sure that it stacks up as a single let. So you could say, I'm not going to buy a property. Let's say you're buying an £80,000 house in Bradford and you're planning on doing it as a 4 or 5-bed HMO. You could say, well, hold on a minute. How much would I get as a single let? This is what I do. How much would I get as a single let? Is it still going to stack up? Am I still going to be making money on it as a single let? If so, great. If not, then if it has to work as a HMO and they're messing with the rules, then that's something I think you potentially should just be a little bit careful of.
Yeah.
One of my students was looking at a property which was an ex-post office. He was going to run it as a HMO. It would never have worked for a single let. It was an ugly building and it was going to be a 4-bed HMO. And I said to him, that's not really great because if it doesn't work as a HMO, there's no way it'll work for anything else. It was just really ugly little. It was half an ex-post office. And you wouldn't have rented it out as a single in a way to a family. So I think it's nice to have an exit strategy when you're buying a property. So, okay, this is my plan. I'm going to do it as, like we do that when we do serviced accommodation.
If it doesn't work as service accommodation,
HMO. Yeah, or if it doesn't work as HMO, okay, I could potentially do it as a single let. If I do it as a single let, am I going to lose money? No. Rather than making 20-25% return on investment, I might only make 10-15, but at least I'm not going to lose money. I think that's smart as well.
Yeah.
But I really do think, though, that I think all they're doing is they're making it harder for people just starting out getting in. But it's actually going to be really good for investors that are serious, that are buying properties.
That are trying to be good landlords and give good quality homes.
Yeah. And
it also helps because we're saying, oh, we're not going to have this, we're not going to have that. Speaking to contractors up north, the number of properties, HMOs, existing 5-bed HMOs, just coming on the market.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to spend the money, so you can buy a property now that's already built into separate compartments and needs very little amount of work.
So you're saying there's a lot of HMO landlords selling up,
Yeah.
and it might be a good opportunity to get in there now.
And then just make them comply.
That's it.
I mean, I think a lot of these changes as well, like the Article 4, they're bringing Article 4 into an area. Brilliant.
I
Buy
like
now.
Article 4, yeah.
Oh, Article 4's brilliant. Buy now, and then when it comes in, you've got the grandfather rights. Buy a HMO, even if it's a 4-bed, still put the fire doors in and the smoke alarms. Do it right, and that way, if the changes come in, you're sorted. You're standing head and shoulders above. I think that's always the way to do it. And I think it is a good rule. Overall, I'm happy because I think it's going to raise the standards, and I think that it's going to put a lot of rogue landlords and amateurs out of business. The types of properties that we're sourcing anyway, we're telling people to do them properly. So, I mean, I'm happy.
Yeah. What about, I just had a thought, I don't know if I'm being completely daft because
Probably.
yeah, I normally am. I'm only a builder. What about if you have a 5-bed, the landlord's scared off because of new regs coming in, so he sells it, and he sells it relatively cheap, but it's got tenants. Could you buy it, evict one tenant, have it as a 4-bed, and you don't need the licence, but you've got yourself an up and running HMO.
Just change one of the bedrooms into a sitting room or something.
Yeah.
There's always opportunities to make money and to do well when you know the rules. When you're in the game and you know the rules and you're familiar, then you can make money. Then you can make the most of the situation. When you're not quite sure, that's when you could end up getting burned. And I think one of the things that's probably going to happen is as well, there's going to be a lot of people, this is why it's so great having you in the business, Chris, but I think there's going to be a lot of people that overcomplicate it. It's like with these new...
GDPR.
Yeah, and people make it something that it's not, and they make it so complicated and so hard, when really it's quite straightforward. And I think the same, I think people are going to make this so complex and so, oh, you need to do this, as if you're going to need to spend 15 grand, whereas actually, come on, there's going to be a lot of builders that are making the most of this, that are thinking, rubbing their hands together.
They're going to milk it.
They're going to milk it. So I think the key is, as an investor, is to get educated, to find out what you actually need, and then to do that and make the most of the situation. So, I mean, Chris, you're fantastic. So, if you're watching this, and you want to get hold of Chris. How would we get hold of you, Chris, to understand all the changes and what's happening?
I understand the majority of them, and what I don't understand, I will soon know, because things are changing. But just go on to our website,
which is
www.powerwash.co.uk.
Sourcing company?
buylowrenthigh.net.
Great. And if you want to learn more and go on training programs and stuff, that's property-investors.co.uk. So, great.
Thank you so much for watching. If you benefited from that video, please do share it with your family and friends. For more videos like it, you can watch right here. And if you'd like to spend 2 days with me at the Property Investors Crash Course, watch this video, see what happens. But whatever you do, don't forget to subscribe right here, and I'll see you next time.